Hello, dear students. I am your friend and mentor. I welcome you all on this platform of Sri Jayendra Rangjun classes. Dear student, we are studying one by one all chapters in a detailed manner which is required for the Neet. And from today, in the same vision, we are going to start another new chapter of a class 11th, that is morphology of flowering plants. Dear students, as we heard here this term, that is flowering plants, means the immediate image of any flower can come in our mind. So when we see in our surrounding, whatever the plant which have a flower, they are the flowering plant. And this flowering plant are also known as angiosperms. Okay, they are also known as angiosperms. So now we are going to talk about the morphology. That is, morphology means the superficial structures, external features of this angiosperm or the flower possessing plants. So if we start with some of the introductory part, then you can say these are the different flowering plants, and these flowering plants are able to produce fruit as well. They are able to fruit as well. So they have ability, these angiosperm have a ability to produce a flower as well as fruit. So because of this, here we can see a diagram of flowers and fruit. So when we talk about their morphology, then the description of the diverse forms on the life on earth was made only by observation through naked eyes. Description of diverse forms means, see, we can say there is a too much biodiversity. Approximately 1.7 to 1.8 million organisms have been described. Different species have been described in detail, and all this made only by a observation through the naked eyes. You can see the child observing the floral characters. Another method that can be used to study this, like if some of the minute organisms are there, if there is a large organism, then we can use the first case, that is by naked eyes. But if there are some minute organism, microscopic organism, then there is a need of some of the lenses and microscope. So these microbes can be studied by modifying lenses and microscope. This is a research lab where microscope is being used. So what is morphology? These are the two ways where we can study. But what is the morphology? Morphology explains the first case of naked eye. And if you define it, it is a study of the form and structure of organism. It is a study of form and structure of organism and their specific structural features. And all are observable characters, means external features we are going to study. We can study form structure, but that is externally. What externally visible is that we are going to study in morphology. Biology remained as a natural history for a long time. For a long time, people does not know initially about the biology, and biological discovery was not too much at that time. So it has remained as a natural history for a long time. But the scientist, one of the important, who is known as Theophrastus, and who is regarded as a father of botany, he done too much research in the field of botany, and his two important surviving botanical works are the Inquiry into Plants, that is Historia Plantarum, a book where he written this work, And on the census of the plant, that is a causae plantarum, that is the causes of plants, sorry. What is the inquiry into plants? It is to must consider the distinctive features and general nature of plants from their morphology. Whatever the distinctive characters and general features we can observe from morphology, that is the that is understood in the inquiry into plants. Causes of plants, in this the extensive information about various categories of plants and observation of different organs of plants done by the Theophrastus. Actually, this is for a just information. No one is going to ask you about this question in Neet of the causes of plants and the Historia Plantarum. But you should know father of botany is Theophrastus. As the study continued, the wide range in the structure of higher plant observed, but the wide range in the structure of higher plant will never fail to fascinate us. Obviously, the diversity in the higher plants make us interested to study them in detail. So angiosperm flowering plants are characterized by the presence of root, stem, leaves, flower and fruits. And fruits are also along with the seeds. So in a flowering plant, this many morphological structures are seen. In this root, stem, leaves are some of the vegetative or non-reproductive structures. But when we talk about the flower, fruit, and seeds, that are the reproductive structure that play a role in a reproduction, or they are the product of reproduction. Like fruit and seed are the product of reproduction. Okay. Even though the angiosperm shows such a large diversity in external structure or morphology, the study is important. So when we see the structure of any angiospermic plant, you will see this many structures. This is a flowering plant. And in this flowering plant, when you will observe, you will see that they have a leaf, fruits, flowers, stem, and root. And in this also fruit have seeds. Now, if we talk, suppose this is the soil layer. Whatever the structure which comes above the ground, that is a part of shoot system. Whereas whatever lies below the ground, that is a part of root system. So in a root system, usually we have a root and their branches. But in a shoot system, you will see the presence of stem and its branches. You will see the leaves arrangement. You will see the flowers. In then you will see the fruit. You will see the flower, fruit, all these seeds, all this comes above the part. Then that part, that is a part of a shoot system. Shoot consist of all these things. Shoot system consists of all these things. But root system consists of only these things. And you can see these are the flowering plant. One of the important difference which make us to differentiate, that in shoot system they have buds, but in shoot system usually bud are absent. So if we keep on going studying this, then we come to know that for a successful attempt have been made for a classification. And for any successful attempt at a classification and at understanding any higher plant, or for that matter any living organism, we need to know the standard technical terms and standard definitions for any successful attempt at classification or the understanding of higher plant. First, some of the standard technical terms and standard definitions are necessary. We also need to know about the possible variation in different parts found as adaptation of the plant to their environment. What is the different parts show a different variation? Example, adaptation to various habitat for protection, climbing, storage. How it is done by the different parts of the plant that we need to study. So when we observe the external morphology of the flowering plants, we will see that all of them have a root, stem, leaves, that is the vegetative parts. And you can see they may be bearing flowers and fruits, which are the reproductive parts. Reproductive parts are flower and fruit, whereas a stem, leaf, and root are the vegetative parts. And these are the reproductive parts. One of the important thing which I told you to understand this in a shoot system is the presence of bud. And if you see, this angle is known as axil. If it is an apex, apex has a apical bud. But axil is the angle between the young stem and the leaf, base of the leaf, and that angle is known as axil. And in axil, the bud which is present, that bud are known as axillary bud. So you can see this bud. This is nothing but a bud, but which type of axillary bud? So axillary bud, if we talk, this axillary bud are present at axil. So now the question is, what do you mean by axil? So axil is nothing but a angle between base or petiole of leaf and young stem. See, here it is forming the angle, that is axil. We can't say this as axil because it is the older stem. Younger stem will be on the upper side. So the angle between the upper younger stem and the petiole is known as axil, and the whatever the bud is present in this, that is known as axillary bud. Actually, what is the importance of bud is that bud is nothing but a compact plant. We can say compact shoot. We can say when bud will grow, it has the ability to give rise to the new plant. It can propagate and form a new plant. Because of this, we are giving here importance to the bud as well. If we talk about shoot system is growing above the soil towards the light. So it is shoot system is positively phototropic, negatively hydrotropic. It is negatively hydrotropic. So positively phototropic means it is going towards the light. Negatively hydrotropic means water is present at the base, so it is opposite to the water. And it is also negatively geotropic because it is growing opposite to the gravity. Whereas when we talk about a root system, this root system is negatively hydrotropic, positively negatively phototropic, sorry, means it is going opposite to the light. So it is negatively phototropic, but it is going towards the water and light, so it is and gravity, so it is positively hydrotropic and positively geotropic. Okay, this thing is observed in the shoot and root system, and that is the difference between the shoot system and root system. So in these plants, the underground parts of the flowering plant in the is the root system. This is the shoot system. This is the root system. The portion above the ground forms the shoot system that we have discussed. And now, from this, after this small introductory part, we are going to study first vegetative parts, and then we will going to discuss the reproductive part in detail. And now we are starting with the one of the important vegetative part, that is a root, which is acting as a base for any plant. So when we talk about a root, which is the underground part of the plant body, whatever present below the ground in the root, it is usually root. And underground part of plant body is root. So root is positively geotropic organ. It is growing towards the gravity, so it is positively geotropic. In dicot, it is formed by a elongation of radicle. Okay, in dicot, it is formed by a elongation of radicle. Now the question is, what is radicle? See, if any plant is going to develop, it is going to develop angiosperm by the germination of seed, and within seed you will find an embryo. Okay, so if suppose this is a seed, okay, then it obvious has embryo. If we take this as a dicot seed, and if we see its embryo and draw its structure in detail to understand its parts, it look like somewhat like this. So this is the embryo. In this top part is known as plumule, which give rise to the shoot. These are the cotyledon. Here you will see radicle that give rise to the root end portion. But radicle and plumule are a part of what? This whole axis, and this whole axis is known as embryonal axis. So lowermost part of embryonal axis is radicle and uppermost part is a plumule. Radicle give rise to the what? A root, and plumule give rise to the shoot. So here in dicot, the root are formed by the direct elongation of the radicle. Then it is known that the root grows towards the earth gravitation. So we call it as a positively geotropic organ. It is generally brown or non-green in color. If we talk about color, it is brown generally or non-green. Then it grows vertically into the soil. Actually, it is grows downward in the soil. Okay, so this is the root actually. So when we see the structure of root, we come to know that in majority of the dicot plant, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of primary root. In structure, radicle elongate and form a primary root, which is which grows inside the soil. And this primary root able to form a secondary and tertiary root. So if you can see this diagram, in this diagram, primary root bears a lateral root in several orders. So in this, if you talk, suppose this was the radicle and given this root, this is primary root, which is the direct elongation. Primary root bear lateral root. You can see these are the different lateral roots, and they are referred to as a secondary root and tertiary root, etc. So whatever the direct branches of this primary root, they are known as secondary root, and the branches of secondary root are known as tertiary root, and the branches of tertiary root are known as rootlets. Okay, here when we talk about primary root, which is the direct elongation of radical, it grows vertically, but secondary and tertiary root grow apogeotropically, means they are growing laterally or horizontally. Okay, secondary tertiary root grow horizontally, but the growth of rootlets can be in any direction. This way the whole root system is formed. Okay, now after studying this, we are going to talk about the regions of root. To understand regions of root, dear students, we are going to study this much part in detail. Then we will able to understand the different regions of the root. If we talk about regions of root system show four zone or four horizon, and they are namely a root cap region, region of meristematic activity, region of elongation, then region of maturation, which is known as maturation zone. So this four zone or four horizon or four regions are seen in the root system, and this sequence is from the lowermost regions towards the base of the root. First is the root cap region. See, if this is a diagram of the part of a root, and to understand the region of root, the root cap region is seen here. This root cap region is the lowermost. You can see this is the root cap region. This root is covered by apex by a thimble-like structure called a root cap. Root cap is a thimble-like structure which covers the apex of a root apex. And this root cap protects the tender apex or a flexible apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. Means if the root want to penetrate through the soil, they need a root cap. If root cap is not there, then apex will be injured. So this root cap protect the apex as it passes through the soil. One more important thing is that it is generally found in mesophytes. Mesophytes means mesic, means which are growing in a soil that is not too much dry or too much wet. In such type of mesic condition, which is neither too much dry or nor too much wet, and also found in the xerophytic condition. Xerophytic condition is the what a dry soil, a plant growing in dry soils are the xerophytes. So there also there is a need of root care, but absent in hydrophytes, because in hydrophytes they have to pass through the water. These are the water loving plants, so there is a no need of root care. If they want to pass through the some of the hard region, then there is a need of a root care. In free floating hydrophytes, root pocket are present. See, pocket when become non-functional and found in aquatic plants or a free floating aquatic plants, root pockets are present instead of root cup pocket. And when we talk about the function of this root cup pocket or non-functional root cup in aquatic plant, it provides buoyancy. Buoyancy means which is help in them in a floating. So that is a root cap region. See, Here shoot is attached here. Actually from here the root system is starting. So this is the proximal end. We remember this is the proximal end of that is a nearby end, and this is the distal end. So we can say root cap is present at the distal most end. Above to the root cap zone, there is a meristematic region. You can see this one, that is a meristematic region, which is a few millimeters above the root cap in the meristematic zone. It consists of apical meristem. The cells of this region are very small, thin-walled, have a dense protoplasm, and they are in a state of active cell division. And this lies just above the root cap region, or we can say proximal to the root cap region. This divide rapidly, and the entire growth of the root depends on this meristematic zone. Above the meristematic zone, there is a elongation zone. You can see this one. That is a region of elongation. This region of elongation is present proximal to the meristematic region, and in this region cells undergo rapid elongation. In meristematic they are in active state of division, but here in elongation what, they undergo rapid elongation due to the enlargement, and these are responsible for the growth of the root, and they are responsible for the growth of the root in length. Above the elongation zone there is a presence of maturation zone, region of maturation, and it is proximal most to the elongation region. In this region cells gradually differentiate, means maturation. Maturation means differentiation, means the dividing cell is going to be non-dividing. When a dividing cell stop dividing, then it become a non-dividing cell, and that is known as a differentiation process, and the cell's non-dividing cell is going to be known as a differentiated cell. Secondary growth occur in maturation region actually. Okay, and this region of maturation, if you see, they have these structures which are known as root hair. So here in maturation zone, or we can say it as a root hair zone. From the region, some of the epidermal cells form a very fine and delicate thread-like structure called a root hair. See, root hair are the elongation of the epidermal cells. So if root hair are the elongation of epidermal cells, this root hair are nothing but they are elongation of epidermal cell. So these root hairs are known as exogenous in origin. Why they are known as exogenous in origin? Because they are originating from on the surface. Primary tissue formation occur in this zone, means the dividing cells stop dividing and form a differentiated tissue or mature tissue in this region of maturation, and that are going to be primary tissue. Primary tissue includes the what? Particularly parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. So when we take a cross section of this particular region of maturation, you will see the outermost layer, that is epidermis. See, if I, this is the region of maturation suppose, and if I take a cross section and if see, the outermost structure is going to be epidermis. Inner to epidermis, you will see the presence of cortex, and inner to cortex you will see the stele. If we take a cross section, Root hairs, what is the function of root hair? Root hair absorb water and minerals from the soil and passes it to the inside. So absorption is the main role of this root hair. Thimble-like structure is nothing but a root cap zone. Okay. What region comes above the root cap? Just above the root cap, you will find a region of meristematic activity. The cells of this region are very small and thin walled. The meristematic activity cells are the small, thin walled, dense protoplasm. Epidermal cells form a very fine and delicate structures and that are known as root hairs. We have discussed just now. Okay, so this is about the general structural part of root and what is root system. Now we are going to talk about the actually a type of root system. Types of root system. In flowering plants, three type of root system appear, and these three type of root system are taproot system, fibrous root system, and adventitious root system. Let's talk about them in detail. When we talk about a taproot system, it is found in dicot actually. In this, primary root is taproot, which is the direct elongation of the radicle. Means if a primary root is formed by the elongation of the radicle and it is persistent and it is as it is formed, then it is known as a taproot. And it is the main axis of the taproot system. See here, you can see this is the primary root, so it is acting as a taproot. This is the branch, so it is a lateral root. This is a root hairs. Okay, so this way taproot system is present. In later part, we will be discussing the modification of taproot as well. From the taproot, lateral root, secondary and tertiary root are produced obliquely in acropetal manner. Acropetal means the younger are towards the apex and older are towards the base. So such a way the branches or lateral roots develop. Root heads are produced on the lateral root, that is secondary and tertiary. An example is Brassica rapa, alba or mustard plant. You can see in this that this is the taproot, primary root. This is a secondary root, and this is tertiary root. This is sorry, actually this is a taproot. This is a secondary root. This is a tertiary root. Like this, they have been shown. Okay, five-ways root system. As taproot is found in monodicot, fibrous root system is found in monocotyledon plants. In this, primary root is not persistent for the long time. Means primary root is short-lived and it get replaced by a large number of roots at the base of the stem. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system. The fibrous root system is seen in a monocot plant like a wheat, whose scientific name is Tetracum vulgare. There are different so many species. One more species is there whose name is Tetracum aestivum. That is also wheat. That are the two different species. And you can see here the many roots are forming here. So this is representing a fibrous root at the base of the stem. And the third type of root system is adventitious root. These roots arise from other than radicle. They are not going to arise from the radicle. They arise from the plant part other than radicle. So roots arise from the parts of the plant other than the radicle and called adventitious root. Example is monstera and banyan tree. The different modification of adventitious root also we will discuss. You can see this is also adventitious root because it is arising from the stem. In banyan tree also the root arises from the stem, so it is a example of adventitious root. We will be going to discuss in detail. So different type of this root system are there, that is a taproot, fibrous root, adventitious. Out of these two, we are going to discuss in detail about the modification of taproot and adventitious root. Before that, let's talk about some of the functions. The functions, if we talk, the main function of the root system are: first, absorption of water and minerals from the soil. There is a need of absorption of water and minerals from the soil. Then root system provide proper anchorage. If plant want to adhere to the soil, anchor to the soil, then there is a need of this root system. Roots are also known to store food, so they store the reserve food material. And one more important function which is seen, that is they synthesize some plant growth regulators. Plant growth regulators means these are the nothing but plant hormones or phytohormones. So some of them are getting synthesized here. So these are the four main functions of the root system according to NCERT. You should remember this. It is not like that other functions are not there. There are different more functions, but these are the four main functions. So let's talk about some of the questions. Direct elongation of radicle leads to the formation of primary root. Okay. Then adventitious roots are seen in, we have seen just that they are seen in monstera and banyan tree. The main function of the root system is, you can see photosynthesis, reproduction, transport of water are not main function. So absorption of water and mineral are the main functions. Next question is, the primary root is short-lived and replaced by a large number of roots, then it is known as obvious fibrous root system, and it occurs in case of the monocotyledons. Which roots originate from the base of the stem? Dear students, when primary root does not persist for a long time and it is short-lived, then it is replaced by a large number of roots at the base of the stem, a thin roots that are known as fibrous roots. Okay, dear students, so here till now we have completed the introductory part of morphology. What is root, the structural aspects of the root, regions of root, and the types of root system and their function we have discussed. Now after this, in the next class we will be discussing about the modification of this taproot and adventitious. Okay, till then, thank you.